Salutations, Gooners. I know it's been a minute. We'll get straight to the point. Does being taller, shorter, long arms, short arms, tall torso, does that affect you in calisthenics in terms of planche skills, in terms of reps, stuff like that, horizontal and vertical planes? We're going to go over all of it, but I'm going to keep it simple because a master is someone who could take a complicated concept and make it where anybody can understand it. So, simply put, levers. The whole game is about leverage. The shorter you are, it is way easier to crank out reps when your arms are super short and or short in general. Let's take a look at the best gymnastics athletes in the world. Like say Yuri. Bro is a gnome. Respectfully. Gnome size, travel size, respectfully, okay? I'm not that much taller, okay? I'm just gonna say respectfully because there's a lot of dick riders. He is short, but doesn't diminish any of the hard work he's done. Bro's been training before I was even born, okay? I'm putting respect on his name, but I'm going to keep it real. He's short. He's also the Olympic beast. There's correlation, okay? Now, let's take it, just take it to a more physical standpoint. When you're doing calisthenics or anything, we're going to talk mainly about skills, mostly. In your leverage, it is very important to understand the leverages you have to be able to adequately diagnose your progress. Even though everyone progresses at their own lane, even if you know someone that's at your exact same stature, his lat insertions might be better than yours. That's why he can front lever before you. So that's a whole entire video about insertions. But essentially, let's say these are my arms, these fingers, okay? And you want to do let's say a planche. Let's say your fingers or your arm length is too short. It's short. So you can't necessarily do a planche because you have to compensate extra. So if my arms were longer, quote unquote arms, I could be able to do this and I would be able to balance it easier. But since your arms are shorter or you're shorter, it is harder to balance it and you need to compensate that with extra strength. I hope that makes sense. So if your arms are longer, you are more likely able to perform more advanced skill moves that are straight armed and horizontal planes. So horizontal vertical plane, there's this like vertical, picture a pull up and down, horizontal left and right, okay? Horizontal, planche your front levers. Your handstand push-ups, that's a vertical plane move, okay? So when you're in a vertical plane move, it honestly doesn't really matter how tall you are, but it does matter your arm length, because the arm length, if your arms are super, super long, your range of motion is going to be also super, super long. So 2 reps of a 5'7", I'm 5'7", of a 5'7" guy doing push-ups versus a, let's say 6'5" guy doing push-ups, I'm going to easily crank out so much more, even if technically, let's say he was training like everything else. Technically, if he can do as many push-ups as me, he's stronger than me. Why? Because he has to go through a farther range of motion. It is only fair, let's say if you're going to a competition, a push-up competition, and you're going against someone who is 6'5" and you're 5'5", it is only a fair competition if you are doing push-ups off of an elevated surface and you have to go deep, so deep to where on the plank position, you both are at the same level. That is the only way to really gauge if you guys are stronger or not, which is why I also highly, highly recommend always go deep. Pause. Always go for the extra super range of motion. I used to write a sticky note at my freaking desk wherever I work out. It's like pull higher on your pull-ups, go deeper in your push-ups, go deeper in your dips. Because having that deep range of motion also super good for you, super healthy, super strong joints, super everything. You're going to be able to do more stuff because you have that extra strength in any range of motion and unlocks new moves. But you're also going to be able to look at the tall guy and tell him no excuses. If he says I'm too heavy, I'm too tall for this, be like, I can go deeper in the range of motion than you and you're taller than me. Mogged. So for weighted stuff or for bigger guys, people who are taller usually are more bigger than short people because they don't have as much room to stack on that frame. So typically they're bigger, and that's going to hinder you in calisthenics. If you're taller, that's also going to hinder you in calisthenics, mainly because you have to move more. You have to compensate. And I know I said that earlier, for the planche, you're probably better if you're taller, but that's only if you're long limbed, like if the proportions are correct. Like a perfect calisthenic athlete is probably going to have, let's say, like complete create a character mode. Short legs, so the leverage is easy. Long arms, so the leverage is even easier. So that way, and a short torso. Literally, if you're just long, like if you're a deadlift build, you're fine. So super long arms, stocky torso, and short legs, that allows your arms to be able to get the best amount of leverage so you can do your iron crosses, your full planches, your reverse hefestos, whatever you want to do for straight arm movements. Now for bent arm movements, it's going to be the opposite. You want to have short arms to make it as easy as possible if you could create your own character, rewrite your genetics. And I'm just saying this just so you could get a better picture in case you're with someone, because I had the same issue. This guy, 5'7", same build as me, same weight, but his, planche strength, oh my God, insane. We were roughly around the same front lever rate, and I was training longer than him. But our lat insertions were actually different. So your genetics will differ. They, just whenever you're looking at someone and comparing yourself to someone, don't, even if they're the exact same build as you, it doesn't matter, because some people can planche faster than they can front lever. And me personally, I could front lever way faster than I could planche. That's going to be the same case for everybody, even if you've been training the same amount of time in a relatively similar build. So back to the leverages, okay? Long armed, you can make the planche easier because you can reach farther. You can get to the center of mass. You can get to your waistline and push up easier. The cost of that, though, while the leverage is easier, your strength requirements are higher because you need to lift more. As a big boy, you have more weight to move. So shorter guys, they have this advantage. You have short arms. That way you can crank out push-ups. The range of motion is basically nothing. Let's say, for example, Greg Doucette, his deadlift record is retarded because, holy crap, the range of motion is a couple inches, but still, technically, he did that still because he went full range of motion for his I can't say that word. This word. Build. That's why also many of the great calisthenic athletes, all those Malteses, one-arm planches, fingertip planches, they're usually small guys, tiny guys, 145 pounds, 5 foot. And, you obviously, you can do those moves if you're taller. It's just going to take a lot longer. I have not seen a I've seen a few tall guys, bust out some fingertip planches, but it will be harder if you are taller and bigger. Not impossible, just something to take note while you are a calisthenics guy. But doesn't matter that it's impossible. That just makes it understandable. I don't want to say it's cope, but it's just like logic. Like, yo, I can't do one-arm front levers yet. Yeah, because you're 6 foot and you're 200 pounds. No duh. People who do that move are usually a lot smaller. So, make sure you take that into account when you're listening to somebody or you're watching videos. It's just like, yes, the genetic portion of how big you are, how tall you are, matters a lot. So let's recap real quick. If you want to know if you would be, someone's going to be great at endurance stuff, rep work, bent arm stuff specifically, a shorter arm, it will be a harder lever in statics, but in terms of range of motion, if I only had to do this because I'm shorter, your range of motion killed, and you can do so many more calisthenic moves. Achilles heel. Since you have such short arms, you have to compensate with extra strength in order to make that line, in order to make that leverage. Since you're super short, you have to compensate with more balance, more strength, and just literally just madhouse it in terms of brute force. For taller individuals, most likely longer armed guys, your front levers look beautiful. Planches look beautiful if executed correctly, but your rep work will suffer due to how much of a range of motion you have to go through in order to complete the same amount of rep that a short guy does. So I hope that video helps us to bring some clarity, understanding to guys or gals, if you do calisthenics, that yes, your height matters in calisthenics, and most likely the shorter you are, the better you'll get, but it's not possible for taller people.